pull, bang. Dry fire training. It's great practice in those winter months when you can't actually get out to the range, but it has its limitations, and there's no doubt it gets boring in a quick hurry. That's why today we are extremely excited to check out a full training simulator that lets you shoot your own gun at moving clays, and it's made by TrueClays. Will it help you be a better shooter? We'll find out very soon. Are you ready? Pull. Let's go. Winters here in Minnesota are extremely long and pretty brutal. Going outside and shooting doesn't happen a whole lot. And I wanted to find some dry fire training techniques that would be useful not only for me, but for anyone else interested in continuing to improve or maintain their shooting game through the off season. There's a bunch of different options out there, but one of them really intrigued me, and that is TrueClays. It's a full simulator where we have a screen, 14-foot screen that we're shooting on, and one of the coolest things that you don't find with a lot of simulators, I get to shoot my actual gun. It's such a personal item, the feel, the balance, all of that. And so it projects an image and you get instant feedback on how you're shooting. We're gonna dive into this game and take a peek. We're gonna see who it's for, how it can help you, and what its potential limitations are. I'm excited. I've got to shoot just a little bit here today before we started this video, so I actually knew how it all worked. But let's go ahead and dive in. All right, guys, let's jump into TrueClays, get the program launched, and we will check it out. So the first thing we're gonna see up on the screen are the disciplines. There's a lot of disciplines. Skeet, trap, trap 16 to 27, sporting training, FTAS sporting, Halise ZZ, beginner's corner, English sporting, compact. We'll get into these in a little bit more detail. But before we get into the disciplines, we gotta make sure that our gun is set up. So with the laser inserted in the gun, we need to calibrate. Now, I'm gonna tell you, I've already calibrated the screen. We'll talk a little bit more about that later and what that looks like. But I need to start by shooting 3 shots with this laser. 2, 3, and now I'll test it. Yep, it is shooting where I'm looking. So that looks good. Below disciplines, you see squads, so we can add new shooters, change profiles, do all that. We won't jump too heavy into that right now. I'm just gonna make sure that I like my chokes. I'm going with improve cylinder mod just to get things started. If we need to jump in and calibrate anything else, there is a ton that can be calibrated on this. And there's certain things that are crucially important for the setup to work right, such as measurements of how far your eye is from the screen. Those type of distances, your gun setup, all that stuff can be calibrated, tons of options, and we'll jump into some a little bit later. But the one thing I wanted to look at here is the ammo. I can change the ammo. Now, this is a European company that makes this, so we got a lot of European ammo, but I believe there's a way we can add our own ammo. And return to main menu. Let's just start at the beginner's corner. This is a very basic setup for easy clay presentations. So you can see it through on there because I got the mic on. Pull. So we just had a simple going away target. You see when I shoot it and hit it, it shows a green mark where I hit. Pull. So you can see I was on the higher side of that. Still within my pattern. Probably on the high side of that. Pull. High side. So I can see I'm consistently shooting high. There we go. We got a good shot. Pull. So right now I have the flash clays on, so it's smoking more than normal. That's a visual effect. It looks good on video and makes me feel good as well. So in this beginner's corner on the left-hand side, we can change the setup. So distance to trap in meters. So we can set it at 11 meters. Pull. We can change what stand we're behind. Clay speed. Let's crank up that clay speed. Pull. This is actually really dynamic to customizing the setup that you want. Pull. So some basic shots that you can customize for beginners. Let's exit out of that. Sporting training is one that I'm really interested in. So on this one, we can choose where we want the thrower. So we're going to go from a left to right. We're going to go 9. It shows right up there our thrower. We can change the type of clay. It can be a looper, a rabbit low bounce, a teal. We'll go with looper. We can change the angle, up, down. We'll get a little height on that. We can change the speed of the clay. We can change the height of the machine. And we can change the crossing point distance. Let's just try where it's at here. Pull, bang. I kind of want to shoot in that transition. Pull. Okay, I missed. But where did I miss? So I think we can actually do a replay. Shortcut plus replay is playing. It's going to show you where I shot. Bang. I shot behind. You can see the white dot in front of the clay. That's the amount of lead required on this shot. Now if we play the replay and we look at the bottom right, another replay is going to come up. It shows those pellets right there. I was behind the clay, and then it continues on. So basically you're looking at a POV of the pellets, which is super cool. Let's approach this target again. See if we can't get it. Pull. I think I shot behind, but I'm not sure. Again, now we watch and we learn. Bang. Yep. Right behind it. So I need a little bit more lead on that target. I can exit out of there. Pull. There we go. Still on the back side of that target. So I can sit here and do this over and over until I feel like I have figured out how to approach this target and get the right lead. So if there's targets you're struggling with or targets you really want to master, we can go back to that training panel and we can actually just do all different setups. You know, if it's the rabbit, if it's loopers, maybe we just want a straight, normal target. Pull. There we go, leading edge of that one. I want to know my gun movement, and they actually have this piece, which is called the tracker, and I'm going to put that in my bottom barrel. Now we're supposed to calibrate it, but let's just see how it works. Pull. Now if we go to replay, that purple line is my gun movement. So you can see I was above the target line and I swooped down. We don't want that. Let's stay below the target line. Pull. That was a lot smoother. It felt better to me, but let's take a look. See my gun's moving. I insert into the lead, merge, boom. Well executed shot. And I could continue to nitpick this shot, but we'll keep on moving. So that's the training panel. I have loved playing with this. Oh, and it's not just singles. You can do reports. You can do true pairs, right? You can change one machine, two machine. Pull. This is helpful to me if I want to shoot sporting clays. It just gets me used to coming up to a stand. Pull. Boom, boom. And diagnose how I should approach these targets, what my move should be, where my eye should be, where my hold point should be. And we're just going to try this. Pull. See, I shot it that way and it worked, but let's just play. Let's just play. Let's try to shoot it the other way. Pull. I didn't have the timing right. Right? So now my brain is remembering what I just did. I'm thinking about, hey, if I see a presentation like this, this is the easier target to shoot. You have more time. So I absolutely love this training setup. But let's say we don't want to just train for sporting clays. We can shoot FITASC or we can shoot English sporting. So let's pop into that for a second. So we're up with English sporting, but this looks way too nice. Let's make it a little more realistic to Minnesota. If we go to winter one, start round. It says on the bottom of the screen, we got a pair, left to right looper, right to left looper. We can see the one machine there. And it looks like the other one, you can barely see it there. Let's just call pull once. Pull. Boom, boom. Pull. Bang, bang. Oh, I could almost shoot two at a time there. Let's see. Pull. What did I do there? So I hit the second one, but let's do a replay. You can see the clay comes out. I'm working in front of it. Shot behind it. Yep, didn't have enough forward allowance on that. Let's look at my transition to that second clay. Pull the barrel back. get into its path. Halfway decent shot. But I noticed my hold point was too high. I was above the flight path. I want to be below it. Pull. Ha. That first clay is tricky to see visually. Oh, look at the fog coming in. That is so cool. We got fog rolling in. We're dealing with real elements. Pull. Lots of options on the sporting clay side, English sporting. You can run full courses. You could even shoot with a squad, but we got a lot to go over here, so we're gonna keep on cruising. You can shoot compact. I've never shot compact. I don't know, but you can see we're on a much smaller course with a lot of different stations. Pull. So it again tells you at the bottom, we won't spend much time on compact. You can see what that is. I am loving this so far. We're cruising through it. We'll look at trap. So you see it says trap and it says trap 16 to 27. So when it says trap, we're actually talking international trap. So all the international games, down to the bottom left, you can see we can do Olympic trap, Nordic trap, automatic ball trap, universal trench, double trap 200, Olympic trap, so on and so on and so on. Lots of stinking options for whatever game you're looking to shoot. You know, I think it's awesome that you can actually put yourself in the position. Say I've never shot Olympic trap. Let's go to Olympic, start round, and it just can expose me to the experience. So now I'm getting familiar with the game without having to go embarrass myself. Pull. Granted, I'm embarrassing myself on a video that's going to live on the internet. Let's see what happened there. Let's just see how we approach the target. So that ain't right. That don't look right, does it? Is that how poorly I approached the target? Pull. Wasn't a smooth move. Let's check that out. I love the tracker. You can see I got some work to do there. Pull. That one should be better. We'll take one quick peek. We got to keep moving. Hey, that wasn't too shabby at all. So many options, guys. You can do so much on here. You can go shoot a FTASC course. So we got to start from a low gun. Looper right to left. Pull. There we go. Great shot. Obviously, you don't get the recoil, but it's very, very realistic on the move. Your mount, your move, your leads, all those things. You can get that repetition right here. But let's go to trap. I'm going to go to a different profile that I created. Because on this different profile, I got different choke tubes and I changed my point of impact. That's something when you set up your gun is you're going to have to set up your point of impact so it's accurate to what your gun actually shoots. You'll have to get your gun out and actually shoot it to do that. Not in the house, preferably. Doubles trap, something I want to shoot a little bit more of this summer. But this is not what ASP looks like. The Alexandria Shooting Park, no, that's not ASP. Do we have an ASP? That is ASP. Although there's no semis in the background, that is ASP. Pull. Now, if I'm coaching somebody, we're going to say, what do we do wrong here? And what do we need to do to fix it? So you can see my gun movement. I had a bad hold point. I came up at a bad angle, shot below it. My transition was halfway decent. Just that visual aspect of how do we now fix it? Let's change. Pull. Okay, focused in on getting that first one. Let's see. Up on a better line. Boom. What'd I mess up here? Transition, transition. I got too far out in front, just missed in front of it. Last shot here at doubles trap. Pull. There we go, 2 pretty good hits. So with just a little bit of time and practice, I feel like I'm already getting better at doubles trap. Understanding what my mistakes are, how I can move differently, how I can set up. We could keep shooting and shooting. Let's just try one last thing before I give you a few thoughts on this setup. We're gonna shoot some Halise. We could change the terrain, daytime, nighttime. Let's try a nighttime. What happens then? Ooh, I really need to improve at this game, but let's try it. Pull. And I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong, but I missed. Replay. It shows that white dot. That's where I should be shooting. Look, I shot prematurely. I didn't get in front of it enough. And then my next shot, I get a little more lead. Boom. POV, just behind, maybe a little high. I was almost there. Pull. This is just like the real game of Halise where I don't hit any. Let's see what happened. Chase it up. Shot under it. I need to get up and over these birds. Okay, I tend to miss below. Pull. There we go. Now I'm starting to make some corrections. I'm feeling a little bit better. So maybe next time I actually shoot the real game of Halise, I will not embarrass myself. Let's just talk for a minute about what you can do with this simulator, because I think it's awesome. So when we look at TrueClays, can it really help someone become a better shooter? Well, first to answer that, we got to think about, what do people need to be better shooters? Well, they want to miss less and be more consistent. Why do people miss? Why do I miss? I miss because my approach to targets is poor. Maybe it's my plan. When I go shoot sporting clays, I don't always have the right plan. So repetitions of getting the right plan together of how we're going to approach targets, where a good hold point is, where a good focal point or visual area where I start, and how to diagnose a break point. And then from there, how do we move into a target? What's our move and approach? What does that look like? And getting the feedback from this program is huge. Getting the repetitions plants it into your brain and into your subconscious, so then when you go out to the range and you go to shoot, you're like, oh, a quartering going away shot. Okay, pull, that's my break point. I'm gonna come back about a third, because I've done this 1,000 times on the simulator, about a third. My eyes are gonna get just in front of the machine. I'm gonna see that flash. I'm gonna mount and move, a little bit of lead, front edge, pull that trigger. You've seen it, you've done the repetitions, and you've done it with your gun. Now you're not gonna get that recoil, right? So on follow-up pairs, the reason I usually miss pairs, whether they're true pairs or report pairs, is not recoil. It's usually a bad approach to targets. And that can all be learned and replicated right here on TrueClays. And that's why I'm so excited about it, because I can see how this could make me a better shooter. I can't go out to all the sporting clay ranges, especially this time of year, but in the summer we're filming, I'm doing lots of different things. I got shows. I can't go out and shoot all the shoots. So this is an opportunity for me to actually get better. Right here in my rec room is where we're at currently. So people miss because they got bad technique, bad approaches to targets, and usually not enough lead or too much lead when they pull the trigger, right? They're not in the right spot. And that can be a hard thing to comprehend. But when you've seen it repeated over and over, and you shoot and you're like, oh, on that type of shot, on a 30-mile-an-hour crosser at 35 yards, I need more forward allowance. You start to see your tendencies. I tend to miss high, or I tend to miss behind. We need to correct those things. Very easy to do here without the cost of ammunition. But yes, obviously there's a cost to set this thing up. We'll talk more about that. We'll dive into the equipment a little bit more. And then I'll conclude with my final thoughts on who I think this is for. But one aspect I really want to look at is the coaching aspect, because I believe this could be used for coaching. But before I say for sure, because I've been coaching myself, let me go grab my son and see what he does. We're just gonna see how this works for training. We got a left to right crosser. That thrower is at 17 meters, and it shows you the trajectory, right? I just want you to go ahead and try to shoot this, and we'll take a look at your shot.
All right. Pull.
Okay, now watch this, Rylan. See that white dot? That's how far in front of the target you need to be. See where you shot?
Yeah.
You started way over here. Well, call pull and say bang when you think you would break that clay.
Pull. Bang.
All right. So your break point was about here, right?
Yeah.
This is a crossing shot. So let's try this. Let's put your hold point about right here, about halfway back. You can kind of get your eyes right in this and look for the flash. And when you see it, just pull in front of that target, get in line with it, and shoot when you think you're there.
Pull.
Hey!
There we go.
Did you stay in front of the target the whole time? Or did you get behind it and have to catch up?
I'm sure I got behind it.
Okay, let's see if that's right. The purple is you. Okay, you weren't behind it long. You accelerated through. Look at that. Good shot. You started a little bit above. See how you came up there?
Yeah.
Are you starting pre-mounted?
Yeah.
See how that jumps up?
Yeah.
I want you to start below the target line, right? And then come up to that clay, get in its line, maybe stretch a little at the end.
Pull.
Good shot. You can see you're on the back edge of that. Now let's watch what your gun did. Oh, you got behind. Catch up, catch up. Boom. You got in the right spot. Good job. So if you need to move your hold point a little further towards the break point, right? That allows you to see the clay, stay connected with it though, and keep moving. See if you can stay in front of this one.
Pull.
Okay, what happened? So as soon as your shot happens, it'll show the POV of the shot. Boom. You actually shot in front of it, didn't you?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, let's try again.
Pull.
That looked pretty good. What'd you do, Rye?
Well, let's find out.
You're above the target line. Ooh. Oh. Was it? You just shot high, I think. Stay below the target line. One last time.
Pull.
Oh, I liked how you got out in front of it. You maintained, you stretched right at the end. That was really good. I'd rather have you start below the target line and come up to meet it. Good job, buddy. That was awesome shooting. So, Rylan, had you ever shot on TrueClays before?
No, never.
That was your first time.
First time.
So, what did you think of having that visual representation of being able to see how much lead you need, how you were approaching the target? Like when I was coaching you, was it helpful to see that visually?
Yeah, it's a little helpful. It's different knowing what you did wrong.
Yeah, I would say so. For me as a coach, like I can kind of see those things when I'm out at the range and I can make some educated guesses, but actually being able to replay it and watch it, I can relay that message much differently to you. When I can point there and say, here's the target line, I want you to start down here and come up on it. Like that was easy for me, and just watching you shoot, you started to catch on really quick. You got the concepts, and then I could ensure you were picking up on the concepts because I could watch the replays. So would you say that this would be helpful for you in a training aspect? If you were able to use your gun, this is my gun, doesn't fit you, and I was able to coach you a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. It's a little different without the recoil and just being outside, but...
Right. Well, thanks for helping out, buddy.
Yeah.
Nice job. Let's take a look at the equipment that we got from TrueClays, and I'll share a little bit of what it was like to get this set up. So primarily we're dealing with a computer that's connected to a very high-end projector. I asked them when we were looking at getting this system, because it was pretty spendy, I said, well, can I just use my own computer, my own projector, and you give me the program? And they said, that won't work. Reason being, it makes total sense, is they need a projector that has a high enough refresh rate and a computer that processes fast enough so that when you take that shot, it's true. You're not seeing the clay skip, there's no lag in the delay, so everything has to work together to their specs. So they send the computer, they send the projector, they sent me the stand. Now we could do a ceiling mounted, and if I had a permanent setup for this, I would definitely do the ceiling mounted. The stand kind of gets in the way and there's a chance you're gonna bump it and knock everything out of calibration. So when you set this up, the screen has 50 some points that you have to come up with and click the laser 3 times. And it basically says, this is where everything's located. That way when we shoot, it's true. So when we look at the gun, it's kind of a cool setup. They have the laser that I have in the top barrel, and that cable comes all the way back to the trigger. And so they custom made this trigger, that's an option. So it fits on the trigger guard, so then when I pull back, it pushes a button. So it's not a full trigger pull like you're gonna experience on a regular shotgun. It's just a slight pullback. It's probably as close as you're gonna get to a real trigger feel. There's other generic triggers. You don't have to get a custom made one. This one just fits on there so nicely. And then in some of the clips you saw that you could see what my barrel movement was. Right? That's done with this tracker unit that slides in the bottom barrel, or there's an adapter that you could clip onto your gun. So if you were shooting a single barreled gun, you could still use this. The tracker is awesome because it allows you to see your gun movement. So if you're really working on the approach to targets and you want to see how much excess movement do I have? Am I accelerating from behind? Am I getting a sustained lead? Is my barrel speed the same as the clay target speed? You can really start to break down your shot. So if you were looking at one of these, I would highly recommend the tracker. But then a lot of things, this is run off a computer, right? So when we're on the screen, I got my mouse I'm running everything with. They send a keyboard and a keypad. The keyboard, you know, obviously you can type and do everything, but when you're running the different games, having this keypad on a table that you can hit replay, you can reshoot a station, you can do everything with shortcuts on this keyboard. And then of course we have our microphone. It comes with a microphone as well that when we call pull, it sends the clay out. A little bit technical to get set up. They do send specs with everything. So how wide the screen should be, how far your eye position and shooting position should be back from the screen. And so you want to get all that stuff pretty much down. So if I had a permanent setup, I would mark it all out. Right now we got tape on the floor, so I know I'm in the right spot when I'm shooting. It's kind of a lot, but now that I've got it set up and played with it, I could set it right back up and get going pretty quick. I probably within complete setup, if I had this packed away in storage to pull it out and set it up, 15 minutes or so. So it is an option even if you don't want to have a permanent setup, but permanent setup would mean you're going to use it a whole lot more. All right, guys, there's one more thing we want to check out, and that is TrueHunt. It's like TrueClays, but it's the hunting side of the world. So we open this up. We can change our gun profiles. We actually do that through TrueClays, so that's a little confusing that we have to do that in TrueClays. Anyways, look at the options we have here. Driven, duck, rabbit, crow, pigeon, boar, running hare. Running hare? I gotta try that. Oh, look at that. They got a wall and they just appear. That's so cool. Okay, that was pretty easy. Let's try something a little more difficult, like what's a duck look like? 2 ducks down, 3 ducks down, 4 ducks down, 5 ducks down. Oh, I'm at my limit. All right, we shot some ducks. Let's hop out of there. All sorts of options. You can do a rifle profile. I am not calibrated for this, but let's just try it anyways. Pull. Very cool. So it actually shows up on the top right when you shoot it. Pull. Got him in the snout. I'm not calibrated for this in this shotgun, and that's more of a rifle game. But cool, yeah. Lots of different hunting options. Boar, let's try one more. Holy smokes. Do a little pigeon shoot. This is actually great for visual distraction. When you have to focus in on one target, pretty good training. I must be missing behind those far ones. It's kind of crazy. All right, so there's a little bit of the hunting side, but let's talk about what I think about TrueClays. I love it. You can tell. I love it. I think it is so cool, and I think it could be very helpful. Is it for everyone? No. It's gonna come with a nice price tag, and you need a space to set it up. There in it itself is gonna eliminate some folks from contention of getting TrueClays. But here's where I see it shining. One, obviously if you have the money and you have the space, and you want to have a place to train, to practice, to play games, it is awesome for that. And by the way, my son was excited to hear this. You can use this fantastic projector to also play video games, to watch movies. So if you had sort of a home movie theater setup, you could use that as well. So it's not just one dynamic. Comes with a great computer, which you might be able to use for other programs as well. TrueClays didn't tell me that. I'm just making an assumption. So there's multiple uses potentially, but just from the pure training aspect, having one in your home, if you're not real serious, this might not be for you. You'll have to be pretty serious, someone that wants to train and get better, but here's where I see it could potentially really shine, is at gun clubs, right? An opportunity for you to either train in the off season where you could come in and calibrate the laser to your gun. You could have student athletes coming in before the season starts. So we're coming up on spring here pretty soon. The high school trap shooting is about to start, and we have new kids coming in every year that have never shot a gun or that have never shot trap. What a great way to introduce them to the shooting sports, where they can get a gun in their hands, they can make moves, the coach can kind of say, this is where you want to hold, this is how you want to approach targets. They can get that experience, so when they get to the range, they then have the confidence of, oh, I know the move, I know the whole point, pull, boom, and they break it, and they're excited. But then they also learn, that's recoil. And hopefully they have a decent gun. I was gonna go on a tangent. I won't go on a tangent about buying cheap pump shotguns for your kids when they start trap. I won't do that. But you might recall we reviewed another simulator. It was actually a VR game headset with the Real Stock Pro. And you might be wondering, well, Steve, how do they compare? First of all, they're completely different. One's virtual reality, you put on goggles, which on one hand is really cool because the world is around you, right? Everywhere you look, you're seeing, you're moving your head. It's not just on a screen. On the other hand, it's not cool from the standpoint of you're in your own little world. And I think it's kind of cool to be standing here without something over my eyes, being able to see my actual gun representation, because that is how we perceive lead to some extent, right? It's a relationship between my barrel and the clay. That's how I see the lead. Focused on the clay, but I also see the barrel out of my peripheral. So if you take a 32-inch barrel and go to a 28, your perceived lead changes. The actual amount of lead needed didn't change, but how you perceive it changed. So from the standpoint of being able to see my actual gun, have hands-on, it's really cool. The VR is much less expensive. I think it's a great option to get people shooting and training and familiar at a much lower cost. Real Stock Pro does a great job mimicking your gun, but as far as shooting with a gun, nothing can replicate your gun like your gun. Now, this doesn't feel totally realistic either. The trigger pull is not the same. There's no recoil. You can't mimic that. I think both the VR and this have applications for training. This program is kind of next level, in my opinion. The fact that I'm pulling this trigger on my shotgun and I'm getting instant feedback on a moving clay and it's breaking and showing me exactly where I hit it, it's pretty high tech. But along with that high tech comes some more complex setup. Making sure everything's custom, tailored, and exactly right in this program can be a little over the head of some people. In fact, I had some issues with setup, and I was able to get a hold of Frederick, the owner of TrueClays, and he was great. Very helpful to walk me through it. In fact, there's a portal here where if you give him the code, he can log on and he can fix things for you. Now, I don't know if there's an additional cost to that or not, to be honest with you, but all I can say is Frederick has been extremely great to work with. Now, he is 7 hours ahead of us, time zone. I'm in Central Time Zone. I believe he's in Sweden. But hey, they are adding distributors in the United States that will sell TrueClays. I think it's worth looking into. I'll put a link down below where you can inquire to TrueClays and get an estimate. So what they'll actually do is work with you, make sure your room setup is what you need, and if they need to custom tailor a system to your needs, they can do that. So extremely cool. Individuals, yes, if you have the money and you have the setup. Gun clubs, if you have the setup and if you have the money. I mean, it always comes down to that, right? But gun clubs, you could train kids. You could do winter training sessions. It could be just a fun thing to have around for people to get reps in. I think it's a cool option, and I'm gonna be bringing it up to ASP. I don't know if we have the space, but if we do, this could be really cool. And I might do another video with this. I might do a follow-up video with TrueClays, and I would like to know from you, what aspects would you like to see about TrueClays that we didn't dive deep enough into? Or do you have a fun video concept, maybe where we get together with other people, we do competitions, or maybe we get together with youth and we do training, and then we see how we can improve someone's shooting going from a simulator to the real world. There's all sorts of ideas. I'd love to hear your comments down below. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Remember, whether in the field or in life, you're only gonna hit those shots you're laser focused on. So live target focused. See ya.